Hey, Composing Gloves here. I'm wearing an orange hat, and today I'm going to show you how to make this sound. It is the lead from the Waiting for Love Marshmello remix. It is this sound right here. And I'm not just going to show you how to make that sound because a lot of you guys will be like, this is a freaking easy sound. I'm also going to show you the theory behind the melody, how to come up with a melody similar, the basic principles, and the way to take it from what you hear and make it into that. Now, this sound is pretty much the exact same sound. Like, it's freaking close. Maybe you even used harmony. I don't even know, but here's the, I'm going to play a little bit of the original. Here it is. Now you see the melody's actually really kind of buried in this mix, like super buried, but it sticks out enough, and it's pretty much this. There's one variation over here. And that's pretty much it. Now the sound itself is super easy. All you have to do is I'm going to set this harmony to default. Open up Harmor. You're already almost there. Like, he didn't do anything to it. And, you know, that speaks a lot for, like, good songwriting. This is a great sound. Like, this sound, saw waves are some of the coolest sounds. So, anyways, it's just a saw wave. So, if you wanted to do it in some other plugin, just open it up, turn on saw wave, and add some reverb. So, we'll turn on the reverb. We will turn our size up. So, if I open up a Fruity, let me just show you the size parameter. Maybe you're not super familiar with this. If I open up a Fruity reverb and turn up the size, check out what happens. It's literally like it's a bigger room. That's the idea. Now, diffusion controls the amount of reflections in the room. For this sort of a reverb, I want a high diffusion, so I have my diffusion all the way up. I think it's up there by default. The decay time, I'm going to leave it alone. That's the amount of time it takes for the reverb signal to go below 60 decibels. It's called the RT60 time. I'm not sure if they're like obeying that, but if you work with hardware units and stuff, it's pretty much like what, when you see decay, that's what it's referring to. And the way it does it, though, is determined by the diffusion and the size. And then I'm going to turn the wet up just a hint. And you're pretty much there. Now let's talk about how to get this melody. How do you come up with melodies like this? You know, it's a pretty simple melody, but there's a core concept here. So the core concept here is I have I look at the notes. First, I listen to the notes. Now, let's talk about transcribing the melody really quick. So whenever you're listening to a melody and you want to write it down, a lot of people just start sort of going like, oh, do, 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 do. And they say, oh, well, that sounds kind of like, and they figure out what note it is and they begin to work around that. But they'll then play down wrong notes and they'll be like, oh, that was wrong. And they'll just change it till it's the right note. That's a very bad way to learn because you don't have to do very much thinking. And so you don't think about the intervals really as you should, meaning you just say, oh, that's the wrong note. And you just immediately change. You don't give any thought. You just start hitting other notes, like guesswork, basically. So it's really, really good instead to listen to the melody. So you go do, 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 do. And it doesn't matter if you sing the exact same notes or not. The idea is that you move in a scale. So as long as you're moving in a scale, this will work. Because if you have relative pitch, or maybe your singing voice doesn't quite hit the range you need, it can be quite difficult to get it to sound the same. If you have the ability, if you have good relative pitch, you'll be okay. Because you can move around different minor scales and you'll be fine. So what I do is at first I sing the major scale. So I go like do 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 do, and I know that my scale goes do 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 do, something like that, right? And so I think, oh, what does that sound like? And maybe I'll play it one more time, and then I'll be like do 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 do, and so I bet, oh, that note. Now I realize I just sang two different notes, but when it's a little more. I normally don't sing this out loud, like trying to explain it to people. When I get into a musicianship class, I'm going to have to do that. So I'll have to figure my crap out and use solfege and a bunch of other things. The pressure goes up a little bit more than sitting in your room just doing it for fun. So basically I do that and I sing it. I'm like, oh, that's a fifth. And so I think that's a fifth. That's my theory. So what's that other note? Do, do, do. And I'm like, oh man, that sounds kind of like a triad. And you think about it and you sing the major scale. So like do, do, do. Do 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 do. I'm like, hey, that sounds like a third. So I'll put down a third, and in this case, it's a minor third. Or you can sing the chromatic scale. That one works great too. And so eventually you come up with this theory, and then you put that down. And so now it's not guesswork anymore. You've really thought about this. So when you're off, you you can think about it some more and you begin to grow an affinity with these intervals, and eventually you just learn what they sound like. So this one, do, 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 that one, I was like, oh, that's a fifth. Totally a fifth. So, and that's how I came up with this quite fast, and it's a very simple melody. This simple melody is based around a chord. You'll very soon find out. It is based around the F sharp minor chord, and then the E. So you hear this, if it always repeats. Listen to the first three notes all over and over. Starts there, bar 2. It literally is at the beginning of every bar. So it's like we're clearly moving around an F sharp minor. And then you'll see over here on beat 4, we add in the 7 on most of these, not on all of them, and we will slur down to the 5th in the scale, but that's or in the chord, I mean, that's fine. So we're moving around. This one we slide up to the octave, and this one that we get into sort of cadences here. This is a powerful move. So cadences refer to the chord progressions you're using. Here we end with the melody. Normally it's playing, you see here we slide down to either the 5th or hanging out at some other scale degree basically. But when we end on the 1 with the melody receiving the tonic, that's a very powerful resolution. So it's very useful. You don't want to be throwing this one around over here, because then it will be difficult to write a melody that will continue pressing forward. But at the end of a phrase, we have some sort of a phrase here, granted a very simple phrase, we can receive this. It's a very strong resolution, so it sounds very complete, and we can now begin a new idea, which is what happens here. He just repeats it. So this is really good. Now, as we have this going, we've discovered now this is simply a C sharp minor chord. I mean C sharp F sharp minor chord, and this is a 7. I'm sorry if I've said C sharp at all. I don't know. But anyways, then we have the 7 that comes in occasionally. So it's an F sharp minor 7 chord. And you can make this with any chord. So you just mess around with the chord tones. Occasionally slides. So these slide notes are very instrumental in the way the melody sounds. And basically in FL, you can write a note and then you can have this note slide. So as long as this note is playing, when it receives a slide command, it'll slide to this note, and the length of the slide note determines the duration. After the slide note, it'll stay on the slide note's pitch until the carrier note ends. So these are like modulator notes. These are notes that tell this note to change its behavior. So if we play it, so you see it bends, and it only bends for this amount of time. If we were to make this longer, it bends for much longer. If we were to make it like just that short thing, and then it maintains the note of the modulator note until we tell it to bend again. So that's very, very, very useful behavior that is with FL native stuff. So native FL stuff does this wonderfully. It does not work with third-party stuff. At least in my experience. Maybe if one of you guys have gotten slide notes to work with it, you should spill the beans. Tell me how you got that to go. And there are a couple of these. Now these ones you just set by ear, and you can usually figure it out. This one slides up, and you can hear that. And you just kind of ballpark where the note is that they start on, because it immediately begins to slide. So you got to listen to the duration of the slide to figure that one out. And then over here we have this one little ornament. And then again, I just do my singing exercise to figure that out. So I'm like, oh, that's how that works. So if you want to make like a similar melody, like let's say we wanted to make ours, and it's something else to note here, very simple, very repetitive, and they are using just eighth notes. So let's say we wanted to, write our own cool melody thing. Well, and we'll even use the patch we made. So now let's just move around. We won't use F sharp minor. We'll use like C minor. So we'll go, let's just do a fifth jump, because those are nice. And then we'll go down to the third. And then let's just dance around some more. So do. And then we'll jump the 7th too. So we'll put a B flat, and now in that 7, so you'll notice that 7 was on a 7/7 chord. It's a minor 7 chord, and so they don't actually use the 7 in the key. They use the dominant 7, which is actually a lowered 7. Maybe you want to be like, that's a little sudden. So we'll do something like this, and then we'll do a cool slide thing too. What the heck? We'll just be copycats today. We'll go down to the 5th too. And then you can go around making, simple melodies. And so we could like clone this, and we could take this one, maybe make it a 6 for a second. And instead of going up, we'll hang out, reach the 7, and slide down the second time. And then let's say that, we don't like that. It's a little repetitive right off the bat. So we will slide down to the 3rd, and we will do that. Or maybe we want, that's kind of sudden too. Maybe we want something like this. Experiment. And it's a good thing to think in your head beforehand, because the same rules for transposing melody apply to writing melody. You should think of a cool melody, then write it down. Now, this melody was probably built off of just some basic theory knowledge, and then this is what came out. And so that's sort of how these melodies are usually arranged from. But if you want to be like write really convincing melodies, you should really think of a melody, or you should write like a more complicated chord progression and follow the rules of good melodic writing, which I cover a whole bunch of melodic tools you can use to embellish things in the MIDI music theory series if you're curious about that. So anyways, that's how you could sort of come up with similar melodies. Now, we've already made ours a little more complicated. And if you've got a lot of stuff going on, you can get away with stuff like this, because the idea then becomes about the timbre and texture of the song, the place we're in the song, what's the mood of the song. And then, of course, we have this enormous beat coming through and all these other things. So this is kind of just fighting to get its way through. And, I wrote mine quite a bit higher, too. C5. Hit L for pattern play. And, you go around doing that. If you want to do something like maybe a little more crazy, maybe you want like, I don't know, we're making some 8-bit music. Let's say that we've got something like this going on. And we'll clone this. And we'll lower this down right here. It'll create a nice sort of pushing movement. And we'll make these, all yay loud, because we want our melody to stick out. And then let's say that we want this to be kind of fast, so we'll do something like. Do like a scalier movement. So we're using that 7 because we're basically giving the ear another cue, and it even fits a little bit better if you hear it, because we're basically saying, hey, well, first off, this is if we're going to move around in a minor key, which we are triggering sort of with this D sharp. It's actually an E flat, and this is actually a B flat. We're basically saying, hey, we're moving around in a minor key, so this will fit better. But there's a whole bunch of additional things that we could consider. We're talking about that. But then we could also, we could continue our trend here. Now, your chord tones, you generally want to land on strong beats. So we'll leave that there. And then we'll do like some sort of a fast run right here, because that'd be kind of cool. So we'll go to half step. And then on this one, we'll go. We'll do something like this. So, you get some cool sort of things going on. You can create really, really sort of interesting melodies based off of like something that was pretty simple originally. And this was all just using sort of scalier knowledge and theory. I did not think of this beforehand. If I wanted to write like something that really flowed, I spend my time at and then you go from there and see when I'm singing it out loud, it just comes to me. Like I just know what I should write. And maybe I could use this as a base, start off with some theory knowledge, and then I sing it out. Then I transduce. I don't know. Then I write down. I forgot the word. Transcribe that. I think transcribe's the word. Anyways, I'd write it down, and then I'd have a way better melody than the original, the way I did this originally. So people will give you all sorts of functional tricks like the ones I threw out. But again, if you can come up with, inspiration, it's always the best option. And we could get rid of this, or we could even do something like this. Be kind of cool. Do like some old school chip tune things. then yeah, oh man, it'd be so cool. I'm already getting into it. I should stop right now. But anyways, that's the stuff. I hope this is useful to you. That was something you were looking for. I know I didn't like recreate the whole drop. I just don't have that much time these days to do that. And I'm not totally happy with the way my full drop creations come out because I just try to cram them in too little time. So I'm going to focus on aspects and principles that will allow you to expand your production rather than trying to sound like someone else, because I just don't think that you'll progress as fast as you like by trying to sound like someone else. I think you'll take principles and use them effectively, and that will help you a lot more. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe, support me on Patreon. I really appreciate it, because then, eventually one day I'll quit my day job and I can do this full time and, make all sorts of interesting things. If you have any questions, again, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.